أهلا وسهلا يا حلوين. Right now I want to talk about an important diacritical marker in Arabic called shadda. This wiggler up here, which is not a letter itself, but something that affects the quality of a consonant in Arabic. To put it simply, a shadda doubles the length of the consonant on which it rests. Now that doesn't mean that we pronounce the consonant twice, just that we hold it for twice as much time. As an example of that difference, here we have a verb, darasa, without shadda, which means study. But if I add a shadda to that middle letter, ra, it becomes darrasa, which actually means teach. So the length of that consonant can have a significant effect on the meaning of the word, and these examples are all over the place. Notice that the vowels in this word, darrasa, are still about the same length. I'm definitely not adding any kind of long vowel after that ra sound. I'm not saying darasa with a long kind of bounce after the wind up. I'm just lingering on that consonant. And I should probably say here that if the idea of sustaining a rolled ra sound is intimidating to you, I encourage you to check out the separate video that we have just on ra, which can offer you some support there. That said, we can have situations where we have both a shadda on a consonant followed by a long vowel, so that just means that we need to make both the consonant and the vowel feel long. They both need to take 2 beats instead of 1 beat. So here are some examples. Bawab, right, where I'm stretching out the consonant w sound and the long alif. Bawab, or kutab. It's worth pointing out here that some consonants are easier to sustain than others. Down here, dabbara, for example, we have a ba with the shadda on it, and the ba we can sustain for a certain amount of time, although eventually we have to let it go. We have to release the pressure that we've built up in our mouths to give it that plosive quality. On the other hand, some sounds we can't really sustain continuously, as in tab up there. There's a little bit of silence. We can't really stretch out a sound. So the workaround there is just to give a brief little pause in the middle of the word between the setup of that consonant and the release. Tab. If we had advanced sound recording technologies at our disposal, we'd probably record a split second of more or less silence, but to our brains it registered as one stretched out consonant. One other little thing to know about shadda is that when we're using our short I sound marker, kasra, which is normally written underneath the consonant that it follows, if we have a shadda on a letter, like in this verb, yurahib, the kasra can appear either underneath the consonant as usual, or, as is the case here, it can appear underneath the shadda, but over the consonant itself, which you might notice gives it a frustrating similarity to fatha, our short A sound. So if we're reading a new word for pronunciation, we just need to keep our eyes peeled for that. And of course, while shadda is a diacritical mark that does an important task, it's not actually a letter, it's not in the alphabet, and just like fatha, dhamma, kasra, our short vowel markers, we need to anticipate that some texts will include it for us, while others just may leave it off of words, and trust you, the reader, to know that it's supposed to be there. As a learner and teacher of Arabic myself, I would strongly suggest that you get into the habit of including shadda in your own writing on words that have it. That is both an orthographically appropriate option, it's a fairly normal thing to do, and it's also an editorial kindness, not only for whomever may be reading your texts, but also for yourself as you're reading them for pronunciation yourself.